Welcome to the Real Estate Zone, and I'm standing here with Wayne.morris, who's the Business Development Manager for Seven Capital. And Seven Capital is a property vendor, a developer, and they are also here in South Africa offering great investments for South African investors. Thank you very much for the chat, Wayne.
Thanks for having me, Neale.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about the UK market, because it's always been number one on most South Africans, investors that want to go offshore. Tell us a little bit about why the UK and why it's such a good market.
Correct, Neale. You know, a lot of South Africans are very familiar with the UK. A lot of South Africans have spent time in the UK, or they have UK ancestry. The UK is one of the most invested property markets in the world. It offers a very stable property market. UK property typically doubles in value every 15 years. Properties in London, for instance, have grown at almost 20% year on year in the past. That's kind of come off the boil a bit now. Now we're seeing a bit more of a movement out of London, just because London's become maybe a little unaffordable, and more movement to the regional cities like Birmingham, like Manchester, Leeds, and also into the London commuter belt. You know, people are becoming a little bit. London's always been very, I suppose, used to commuting, and commuting an hour into London for work is very common practice in the UK. So we're seeing a lot of people moving out of London just for more affordable accommodation. But I think London, the UK in general, just offers a strong legal system, decent property rights for South African investors, and it gives South Africans the opportunity to diversify and probably hedge against fairly volatile currency back here in South Africa.
Tell us a little bit about the areas that you look after, because Seven Capital slightly, I know you're based in Birmingham, which is a fast-growing city. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, Neale, yes, we are a Birmingham-based business. 80% of the developments that we have built are in Birmingham. We've delivered up to 3,000 apartments in the past. We do have offices in London, though. We've also got a fairly big team in Dubai, Singapore, and Hong Kong. Probably about 70% of the property that we do sell is to international investors. They're mainly based in Dubai, Hong Kong, but we've seen a lot of interest out of Africa recently. South Africa and Mauritians looking to invest into the UK. We also look at developing in the London commuter belt. We've kind of steered away from London just because we feel it's come off the boil and we're not kind of getting the capital growth there that we want to offer and deliver for our investors.
So tell us a little bit about the kind of investments you can get in those areas.
Okay, so London commuter belt, we're looking at areas like Slough, Basingstoke in Hampshire. So that we look to develop in areas which are less than 50 minutes outside of London. We also got a development in Oxfordshire, in a little town called Bicester. The development's name is Graven Hill. So those are the areas in terms of London commuter belt that we're developing in. We've also 80%, like I said, of our developments have been in Birmingham, and Birmingham's really regenerated over the last couple of years. A lot of investment's been going into Birmingham. It's ideally located from a geographic perspective. A lot of investment within the UK has gone into Birmingham. A lot of jobs have been created. Big companies like HSBC have moved into Birmingham. PwC, Her Majesty's Revenue Services have moved into Birmingham. So a lot of jobs have been created there, and hence there's this supply and demand situation in Birmingham is probably more accentuated there than anywhere else in the UK. We know in the UK in general there's a shortage of supply, massive demand. Apparently something like 240,000 homes are required on an annual basis, and the UK government, together with private property developers like ourselves, are only managing to deliver about 120,000 properties on an annual basis. So, that supply and demand situation is very real. And I suppose, tenants are feeling the pain from that, and there's just a lack of supply. Birmingham, that situation is even more accentuated. So, we're typically looking for areas where supply and demand situation is more accentuated than anywhere else in the UK. So, we've delivered fantastic capital growth in the past, and that's what we endeavour to do going forward.
Right. So for a South African investor, they want to take their money offshore, and there's a number of reasons why they do that. What's the big advantage, I think, coming and to invest with Seven Capital as a company?
Well, Neale, we've been around for 10 years. We've got an excellent track record and an excellent reputation. We've got 30 full-time staff in our customer services department. We also we run a panel system where we work with experts from a tax perspective, accountants, letting agents, etc. So we offer a full 360-degree service. I think the great thing about Seven Capital is that we've delivered 3,000 apartments. We own our own construction company. We're financially strong. We've delivered on all our developments in the past. So we really offer the investor an excellent product. Where every question he might have is answered. People get back to them quickly, and it can be a daunting experience because you're investing in a property 13,000 kilometers away. So you want to make sure that your hand's being held and you're teaming up with a reputable developer. We're not an agent, we are a developer, and I think that's a big selling point. Plus the fact that we own our own construction company, so we deliver on time.
Right. So what is the process? Somebody might be interested out there. How do they get going? What is the first step? I'm interested in an investment. Just take us a little bit through that process.
Neil, I think the key thing is that the investor needs to do their research. Do their own research as well. Seven Capital's website is highly informative. There are a lot of guides there that they can download, a lot of brochures in terms of investment advice for a first-time investor. Investors investing in the overseas market, typical trends that we might be seeing in the UK market. There's also links there to independent websites like Home Track, Rightmove. So I think it's really vital that the investor does their research on their own. And then we've got a team, like I said, of business developers like ourselves, like myself, and I've got 2 colleagues in South Africa who are there to meet face to face with a South African investor, hold their hand through the process. It's a watertight process. So basically it would start with a reservation fee. Once you've selected your property, you need to be very sure in terms of which area you want to go in firstly, what size property you're looking for, the kind of capital growth you're looking for, and the rental yields. And then we've got a lot of stock on offer. So we've got areas in the London commuter belt, as I mentioned previously. We've also got stock in Birmingham. I think one needs to be sure in terms of where you want to invest. And then, in terms of the sales process with Seven Capital, it's a reservation fee, which is £2,500, 28 days later, 20% deposit. And then when the build completes, and all our building is either refurbished or new build, and that's typically about 2 years later when it completes, and then you need to pay the balance on completion. We're dealing with mortgage brokers at the moment who are managing to get up to about 70% loan to value mortgages for South Africans.
It's a very good, because everybody asks about finance. Can we get mortgages?
We are, Neil, and not easy to get, but we've got excellent relationships with mortgage brokers. Right. There's also South African banks that are willing to finance. They've got certain criteria which you need to meet, and property values, they vary from about £250,000 plus. Below £250,000, maybe not all that willing to finance, but obviously if you're buying more than one property, South African banks are willing to finance. I think the big thing as well, though, is that our product is very accessible for South Africans. So we're not talking about £800,000 plus properties like London. We're talking on average about £220,000 for a 2-bedroom apartment in some cases, which is a lot more accessible and affordable for South Africans. And if you can get up to 70% loan to value finance for that, it's really becomes very accessible. I think the important thing for a South African is that they need to do their research, and we can assist with that from a financial modelling perspective, to make sure that do you want to go for an interest-only loan, which is available, or and potentially sell a property in 5 years' time, or do you want to be in for the long run and put yourself into a positive cash flow position on a monthly basis? You're looking at probably like at least 40% deposit there. It depends on the property at least.
The investor's going to ask about their returns, their rental returns, and all that kind of stuff. Do you want to maybe just elaborate on that? Because you're not going to run away after you handed them over the property, right?
No, for sure. So we deal.
Some investors, it's happened to. So right. I talk about it quite glibly, but I think maybe just explain what happens after that, after the handover and all that kind of thing.
So thank you, Neil. Yes, I mean we deal with letting agents and a panel of letting agents, and we've got economies of scale, and they're really vying for our business. So we negotiate pretty hard for them in terms of the kind of rate that they're going to charge the investor, fully managing their property. Like I said, it's a fully managed service. We do the furnishings as well. Typically, you're looking at a charge with a letting agent of around about 7%. But like I said, some of the best letting agents in the business, and we manage them really closely. And if they're not delivering the product that we want from them, we cut ties.
Excellent, Wayne. I think that's fantastic. Maybe just tell the people, how do they reach out to you?
Yes, so you can click on the link below, or check out Seven Capital's website, sevencapital.com, or you can either contact me, wayne.morris at sevencapital.com. My phone number is also available on Seven Capital's website. Look forward to hearing from you, and Neil, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you.